Hey, y'all. In another universe, Black Widow didn't suck. I think I was a boss in Cuphead. I look like the Sunkist logo.
I was gonna say vanilla wafer, but is that
waffles,
not even
man?
the same
No,
color, right?
it looks like a waffle.
If you look closely, I look like a butthole.
Welcome back to the Maganda Forever podcast. I'm your co-host, Monica.
I'm Matt.
And I'm Vince, y'all.
I should have done it as Owen Wilson. Oh, hi. Wow. Yeah, we're going to talk about the last 2 episodes of Loki. A lot happening. What do you guys think?
Good ass show.
Sucks, dude. It's by far the worst show. You thought it was serious.
Get out of here, y'all.
Nah, dude, it's great. It's great.
Yeah.
I still think it's second compared to WandaVision.
WandaVision
back and
had...
forth.
I
You think it
think-
goes back and forth? I don't know, dude. WandaVision did so much with so many more episodes. Like there's
Yeah.
no fat. There's no fat. It was all lean,
Yeah.
all
Yeah.
material. This
The
one
writing
kinda-
too for WandaVision was just more poignant.
Yeah, dude,
Yeah.
you got Socrates
I think-
Vision up in there just dropping knowledge every episode.
But what about this ship?
I think it's just I need to rewatch it. I think it's just because Loki's just fresh in my mind. But I did really like WandaVision, so that's why I'm leaning a little bit towards Loki. But if I really think about it and consider all the things that they did just as a show, I think WandaVision probably.
Yeah.
Wait, when does sorry, this is a tangent. When does What If come out again?
It comes out next month.
August.
Yeah.
Oh shit. Okay.
I think like
I
middle
sent
of
you
August.
guys the dates.
That might be a sleeper, even though it's a cartoon.
Oh yeah, I think that's gonna be hella good because they can
August
just do
11.
whatever they want.
Yeah. Like
August
It's just a
11.
what if Miss Minutes was a butthole? Like totally run with that.
Ridiculous.
Hey y'all.
Gross. She has her own agenda.
You think so?
It's not her
Yeah.
agenda, dude. It's not her agenda, bro. It's
Hey,
it's
see, I was
it's a
debating that
Varian
too. I
Kang,
was like,
dude.
oh shit. See, yeah, I didn't know if Miss Minutes was working for Kang or if she was like a different construct
so,
I don't
dude.
know.
I think it's different. I think it's different.
She's a
I don't
Mr.
know.
Mixia Spitlick type of person.
I think
Oh,
it's
maybe.
yeah, that's what I think. I think she has like her own thing going on.
Oh, hey
Nice,
y'all.
nice.
Oh my gosh.
But let's get into it.
Nice.
All right.
So the second to last episode, we pick up at the mid-credit scene. If you guys didn't see it, instead of getting pruned, you see Loki fall into this like random place with a bunch of other Lokis. So you find out that everything that's pruned, be it an individual person or like a whole branched timeline, they end up at the end of the timeline. So it's like where all of the things collide, where like nothing.
Void.
Yeah, it's the void. It's like nothing in time exists, and yet they all exist at the same time. So it's just kind of like this desolate place. And then there's this cloud monster being that they call Eliath that is like the eater of things that fall into the void. And he's like attracted to new things that drop in. But there's a lot of Easter eggs. Like one of the ones that I actually caught, I didn't have to look this one up.
Super heavy.
I didn't look this up, but I caught it right away. I had to rewind it. I was like, did that helicopter say Thanos? So they have the Thanos copter. They have Throg, the Thor frog, and he's stuck in a jar.
Yeah, Throg? That was
Yeah.
that a Throg?
Yeah, it was Throg, and it was actually
Throg.
Hemsworth.
It was actually voiced by Chris Hemsworth.
Oh, what the fuck?
He was just like,
But it,
He didn't look like
Yeah,
a frog.
it's
to me.
not
I
like
thought it
a
was just
dialogue.
little- I just thought it was a little Thor. I didn't think it was a frog.
no, I paused it. It's
an actual
Throg.
frog.
He didn't
Yeah,
look like a frog to me.
because he was jumping.
really
so
hard- yeah, it's
basically,
really
it's
hard
like
to
a
see.
little. So the Lokis bring our Loki to an underground place to like
First of all,
hide
hold
from
on.
Eliath.
First, can you imagine Thanos as a helicopter pilot? Real quick. He'd be like, all right, we're coming down over the harbor. It's
Stupid.
beautiful. When the fog comes in.
Turbulence is inevitable.
Nice. On your left is what I'm gonna snap away.
I didn't know that was a frog, dude. What the
Yeah,
fuck? I have to
so-
go back
Dude,
and watch
there's
that
hella-
shit. I
hella
even
Easter eggs.
rewound it.
So our Loki, when he falls in, he's like, am I in hell? And they said, no, but you will be if you don't come with us. So we get old classic Loki, kid Loki.
Classic Loki. Oh, classic Loki.
Classic Loki, man. Dude, that guy
What's up,
stole the
Loki?
show, man.
They all Crips, dude. What's up, Loke?
So classic Loki, kid Loki. Did you call him boisterous Loki? I forget what you called him, like the joyful one or whatever.
You talking about the black Loki? Loki?
Loki.
Allocator.
And then the crocodile, alligator, whatever Loki. So they bring our Loki into some hideout, and that's when as they're walking through this desolate place, you see things from different timelines. Like I mentioned, the Thanos copter, as they go into like the hideout, that's when you see Throg. He's like in a jar next to a full-size Mjolnir, and he's trying to like jump to reach it.
So there's Mjolnir. There was a lot of other stuff too, a lot of other Easter eggs, like pretty much leading up to that scene. But there was a lot of people were speculating. If you remember, there was Avengers Tower, but a lot of people were saying that it was Stark Tower. But if you actually look at it, it actually says Kang, but it's not. It's spelled differently, right? It's like Kang or something like that. Or
that's how Kang spelled.
Yeah.
Oh no, it was Q. It's a Qeng.
Oh, that I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Chang. That's how they pronounce it in like Mandarin. Q is
the Chang family. So there's that.
I'm Chang the Conqueror.
Cut. That's it. We gotta wrap a different day.
You know what I call the black Loki? I call him Tone Loki. Wild thing. No.
Not as good as your other one.
Not as good as the other one. Anyway, there were a lot of other Easter eggs in there. There was the Kang Stark Tower or Avengers Tower. There was a helicarrier, if you guys saw.
I saw that one.
There was a yellow jacket helmet.
Wait, what? I missed
that one. You sent it to me and I was like, oh.
There was a yellow jacket helmet. There was also what else did I write down? There was the Sanctorum.
Terrence Howard. Oh, sorry.
He's just there. He's just like,
next time. Tony.
Tony. There was also
wait, what'd you say? There was a what? Santorum? Sanctum?
Yeah. Sanctum.
Oh.
Yeah. And then there was a living tribunal one too, which was
what?
Cool.
What the fuck, dude? I'm missing all of these.
Yeah, man. I rewound a lot when I was like, hey, hang on.
What was it? So it was a living tribunal where they had the curtains on their face and everything.
Yeah, dude.
What's up, bro?
Yeah, dude. Unveil these bitches, dude. Unveil, dude. Yeah, it was just the heads. It was
what the fuck, dude? I completely missed that.
So
there's hella Easter eggs in this.
Yeah, one. So this is to say that there's like so many possibilities in different timelines, like you said, the Stark Tower instead of Avengers Tower or like King Tower. But throughout this, Loki's getting the rundown of like what is all of this, and that's when they say like they can't really prune someone because like they don't have the capability of like completely wiping someone off the timeline. So they're like, whoever is running this, their solution is to drop you at the end, like where time's still being figured out. And then Alioth is that being like made out of time energy, cosmic energy that like just gobbles you up. So once they're in that hideout, you find out that Kid Loki's the one that's kind of running this gang of Lokis. And our Loki's like, why are there so many of us? And it kind of goes back to when Mobius was like, we've pruned more Lokis than anyone else in any other timeline. So there's just a bunch of them in this void. And they're like, why do you follow Kid Loki? What makes him so special? Like, he's just a boy. And he was like, I killed Thor. That was his Nexus event.
Yeah, that was dope.
But some of the other Lokis, like, I don't think we got what Loki's was, but the crocodile.
He said what his was.
I don't remember.
He said he got like all the Infinity Stones
Yeah,
And
he lied,
then,
but then
yeah, but
gave the real reason, right? I completely forgot what it was.
oh,
Yeah, because
shoot.
he was just like BSing, but I don't think he gave his real Nexus event.
Oh,
But then what was it? The crocodile one ate the wrong cat in his timeline, like the wrong neighbor's cat. And then you find out that classic Loki, he's actually closest to our Loki, where he lived that whole timeline up until
So
the end
good.
of Ragnarok.
That's my favorite Loki by
And
far.
yeah,
So good.
and it was like what all the fan theories were like, oh, Loki didn't really die. He just made a copy and then he like went away. So classic Loki, he did exactly that. When Thanos like choked him, it was one of his illusions. And then he just went into some far off planet and was just like living a quiet life in solitude. And he said that like he lived to an old age, but he just got lonely because he was like, I missed my brother.
So
I wanted to see
good.
if he missed me.
So good.
So he wanted to make that connection again. And as soon as he stepped off planet, that's when the TVA caught up to him.
He's just looking up at Heimdall.
Somewhere out there.
Heimdall's like,
Heimdall
turn
out there.
around. They're just singing to each other through the Bifrost.
Nah, man, that was after Ragnarok.
Oh, you're right.
Asgard's gone.
I hella like that scene though, where basically I forgot the name of the actor, but I've never seen him in anything, but I think he's a very well-established actor, right?
I've seen him and stuff, but I can't remember what.
I don't know who that was.
Yeah. Richard E. Grant, I think that's his name. But anyway, I really like that scene because it just shows hell of emotion of basically, and it breaks down what we already know about Loki in a way. Like we've all seen in the previous episodes where it's like, you will always be alone, blah, blah, blah. And it just shows that even a different version of him, he's still alone. And he just really, he missed his brother. And it was just so good. I hella felt that.
I think classic Loki was also the one that he gave the most information, where like he was the most honest, like this was our Nexus event. And my powers grew and I was really strong, but it's just because we need to like believe in our powers. Like he was the most evolved of that group of Lokis for how much potential he reached. And then what was the other thing? I think he's also the one that was like, the thing with Loki's in the timeline is anytime they try to be good, that's when they step off of their timeline. So I saw this one theory that like the Nexus event that Sylvie, the reason why they got her when she was so little was because when she was playing with her toys, it was actually playing like save Asgard instead of like bring destruction. So like she was like a good Loki, I guess. But that was the fan theory that like every time a Loki tries to help someone or do good, because even when they bring her to the TVA, she's like, he's hurting, help, like someone help him, make them stop. So like that was part of what I got from classic Loki, saying like anytime you try to fix yourself, you're going against the timeline. So, but anyway, our Loki says like, enough of this, like I need to find a way back to the TVA. And he leaves the hideout and he comes up with like 30 different Lokis, led by President Loki. And then they have they have this whole confrontation where the boisterous Loki was like, oh, I told you where the hideout was and your army's supposed to help me take out Kid Loki so that I'll rule this. And he's like, oh, joke's on you. I'm going to rule this with my army. And then it's basically the classic Loki's like everyone's against each other because they just can't trust each other.
Yeah.
And then in
Loki
that
being Loki.
Yeah. Loki's
except
gonna Loki.
Except for the ones that come out of that layer. They're the evolved ones.
True.
Yeah. So classic Loki throws up an illusion and gets classic Kid, Crocodile, and our Loki to safety while all those other Lokis are fighting and killing each other. And then we jump to what's going on with Sylvie. So at the end of last episode, she pinned down Judge Renslayer and was like, you're going to tell me everything. And Renslayer like appears to be cooperating. And she's saying like, I want to find out what's at the bottom of this just as much as you do. And Miss Minutes comes and she says she's going to like give all the files to Sylvie to figure out like what's going on because the timekeepers don't exist. But Renslayer is kind of like a fanatic in that like even if they don't exist, there has to be a point to the madness. So she's like willing to commit herself to like the dogma of everything. So she was basically just killing time until the other like officers can come and help her arrest Sylvie, and Sylvie figures out like, well, I'm just going to prune myself to like escape because she knows that they're not actually gone. And I think at this point, this is when she's like dropped into the void. She encounters Eliath and kind of sees like Asgard when she touched him, like she went through him or something. And then
that was cool.
Yeah, and then
Eliath was like, something flew in me.
But she finds, or Mobius finds her basically in some kind of like pizza truck.
Would have been
I think
sick
that
if
was
he pulled up in
also-
a jet ski.
Hop
on!
I think that was people are saying that was kind of an Easter egg to like in Toy Story, the Pizza
Yeah.
Planet.
It looked like Pizza Planet. So they come together, and then she like is convinced that something's up with Eliath, kind of at the same time as our group of Lokis are saying like, we need to encounter Eliath and actually kill him, because by killing him, we'll be able to get past the void and find out what's next. But Sylvie's plan is to encounter him and try to enchant it, because she thinks that something is actually like inside of it. So the Lokis try to enact their plan, and then they like, Kid Loki has a way of seeing like when the next pruning branch is going to land or something. So a huge ship lands, and then Eliath goes after it to eat them. And they're like, oh, fuck this is a bad idea.
Yeah.
At the same time that Mobius and Sylvie come, and they all kind of regroup. And this is when Sylvie is like really convinced that she can do it. She thinks that together they can enchant him because she saw something when he flew through her. And then at the same time, I think Renslayer's, was this when Renslayer was talking to Miss Minutes? Like she's still trying to do her own research on the side of like what's next and like trying to hold down the fort. But we have that like whole heart to heart with the Lokis. I don't know if you want to go into detail of their whole conversation.
Yeah, so they're just sitting staring at each other's eyes.
Can I trust you?
Then he
In the twilight.
he does a jacket, a cloak, or whatever. And he
And she's like,
does a
"Jacket's
really
off."
smooth move. He does a really smooth move, and then he like puts it over Sylvie, and then they kind of just have like a quick little heart to heart, basically saying like, what are you gonna do when this is all over? And they're both kind of flirting with each other, just saying like, maybe we can we can rule a universe together or something like that, or like we can just do something together.
Yeah.
She was like, "Sun's
just-
getting real low."
But yeah, she was like, can I count on you? And like, it's the whole thing about like, can you really trust a Loki? I forgot to mention when she pruned herself, she did get Renslayer's tempad. So
That's right.
when they're trying to come up with everything, like what's going to happen next, they give the tempad to Mobius so that he can go confront the TVA and like burn it to the ground, basically repeating Loki's words in episode 1. And the other Lokis, they actually decide to stay because they're like, this is our home. We have to protect it. Like, we're fine here. So Mobius goes to the TVA, Kid Loki, Crocodile Loki, and old classic Loki go elsewhere. Kid Loki gives our Loki his sword. He said, you're going to need it.
I can make daggers myself.
I know that was kind of weird. I was like,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
But
This one burns.
When I wanted to point out that just the scene when Mobius goes back to the TVA, it was like a good touching moment between him and our Loki. They pretty much like they're saying their goodbyes, and then Mobius is basically extending for a handshake, and then that's when Loki goes in for the hug, and then
he calls him a friend.
He calls him his friend.
Yeah.
That's probably the first time I think in the MCU where he says
actually
someone's a friend.
Yeah.
So they have
There's
have
no
a good
possible
understanding
way to not have Owen Wilson be a friend. Like even Jackie Chan didn't want to be his friend. They ended up being best friends. It's like it's impossible.
And Mobius was like, Sylvie's my favorite Loki. Bye.
That was so funny. You're still my favorite.
So they go into battle with Eliath, and Sylvie's trying to enchant him. She can't quite do it. She's trying to get our Loki to like really believe in himself and like extend his powers. And in order to distract him, classic Loki decides to like build a projection of Asgard, and it's huge.
sick.
And each time Eliath each time Eliath ate like a tower, he just grew it back until finally Eliath devoured him whole. And then a lot of the theories I see circulating is like the reason why he can project it so large and so quickly is that when he was lonely on his planet, he was projecting Asgard, and like kind of like reliving that whole lifestyle and stuff.
I was gonna say Cialis.
What? This isn't a commercial.
If he has a heart condition, he shouldn't take it. But
Stupid.
it didn't last more than 4 hours, so he was good.
So classic Loki gets destroyed, unfortunately. He was the best. Kid Loki and Crocodile Loki still escape, which still leads potential for him to be in the Young Avengers.
Young Avengers, dude.
Shit, you're right.
Yeah, and then finally, our Loki is able to connect with Sylvie, and they're able to enchant Eliath, because the whole reason for this is Sylvie is like, yeah, he's like a guard dog protecting something, and Loki's like, yeah, that's why we're gonna kill it. She said, no, we have to like get through it to see what's inside. So yeah, and that's where this episode ends. I think the confrontation between Renslayer.
No, it ends when they do the Guardians of the Galaxy handhold.
That's what I just said.
Oh,
yeah, they get through.
And
they see the Citadel.
The Citadel.
Citadel within Eliath. I think the confrontation between Renslayer and Mobius is the next episode.
That's in the finale.
Okay. All right. So now we're in the finale. We're in the end game.
Good ass finale, dude. I think they ended it strong.
Yeah, I think so.
I really liked it.
We pick up with Mobius, which in a previous episode when he was in Renslayer's office, like they keep highlighting the like cup rings and like him looking at her pen and stuff. It all connects in this episode. But like Renslayer, like I don't think she really regrets sending him away, but in their confrontation, he says like, you betrayed our eons of friendship. And she's like, no, you betrayed me because you believed a Loki over our friendship. But then like the whole point of it is like they're being lied to, and she's letting herself be like
she's infatuated.
She is okay with a lie because she thinks that it serves a purpose.
Yeah.
For all time, always.
Yeah. So she's willing to buy into it.
Always on time. Start rolling Ashanti.
But yeah, she's willing to believe in it because like everything that they did has to have had a purpose, because she knew that everything that's pruned ends up in the void. So that like real people are still being like terrorized by Eliath, but she's fine with it because like it has to mean something. But she like she's gonna arrest Mobius again when he confronts her. And he was like, you're too late. We're already like basically telling everyone that we're variants. And the way that they did it was that he had B-15 go down to Earth. So they locate her as an actual variant, like you're messing up the timeline. And it turns out that they're in Renslayer's classroom, but it's not Judge Renslayer. It's a variation of her. So that proves to the other soldiers, like, look, she's a human. Like she exists on the timeline. We all exist on the timeline. So that kind of like kicks up the troops where they're going to go against her orders, but she escapes. And he's like, where are you going to go? And she said, to find free will.
But before that, she asked Miss Minutes for info on like the TVA.
Oh, right.
Oh, yeah.
But Miss Minutes uploads something else to her 10 pad. And she's like, wait, what is this? This is not what I asked for. And she was like,
he thinks it'll be more useful.
He thinks it'll be more useful. Yeah. Black Widow sucked.
Hey, Rand. Different dimension, dude.
Even Stevens could be one of the universes.
Even Stevens, dude. Even Stevens Rogers, dude.
So we don't see the files that Miss Minutes gave to Renslayer. You just see her packing up her office as quickly as she can. She leaves with like a little briefcase of whatever evidence that she found. And that's the whole clash between them, is that Mobius is like, you're getting rid of free will. Like, these people at the TVA, they don't know who they are. They exist on the timeline. They should be able to choose, like, if they want to serve, if they want to live. Like, we took their lives away. And so when she leaves, she says, I'm in search of free will. So I don't think she's actually like tracking down who's in charge. I think she's trying to track down like what the purpose of the TVA is. Like, I don't know. It's kind of like nebulous where she's going. But she
I think
disappears
Miss
through
Minutes took her
a
to a
doorway.
different king.
That's
Dude,
what I think.
I think, yeah. I think
But,
it's
like,
a variant of Kang. I
I-
think it's the one who
The evil
we're gonna
Kang.
see.
Yeah.
The one that we're gonna see in Quantum Mania.
Well, that's why I think
One.
that Miss Minutes isn't.
Oh, wait, what? And what? What did you say?
Quantum Mania.
What the fuck is that?
The
The
third
Ant-Man
Ant-Man
and the Wasp.
Oh, I thought that was like an upcoming WrestleMania coming up, like Quantum Mania.
Hulkamania.
Don't
Let's
miss
get
it,
ready to
brother.
rumble, y'all.
Quantum Mania. Let me tell you something, Ant-Man.
Hey,
But that's
brother
why-
or sister, are we?
That's why I think Miss Minutes serves a different purpose. Like, she's not necessarily this universe's Miss Minutes. Like, I think she can also skip through the timelines as
She's
she
a
wants
Nexus
to.
being, dude.
Yeah, so I think she has like, because
Mm.
the whole tone of her in the finale, like not just in this scene, but later on we'll get to it, a scene with her, Sylvie, and Loki. Like, she's completely different.
Also, she's acting independently of our universe's king
Yeah,
because he lays out the choices when Sylvie and Loki meet him. And I don't think one of them was to bring
No.
Renslayer to
no,
a different place. Yeah.
No.
So, and we
So-
haven't even gotten to that part yet. So,
yeah.
Yeah.
So Renslayer's fully out of the picture. That's the last we see of her for this episode. And then B-15 and Mobius are seen kind of at the end. They're kind of like running the TVA, like monitoring the timeline and what happens throughout the course of Sylvie and Loki's interactions in the Citadel. So that kind of wraps up most of like Renslayer, Mobius, and B-15's storyline. The rest of it has to do with Loki, Sylvie, and whoever's in the Citadel.
Also, just to backtrack, for basically the start of episode 6.
Oh yeah,
We got a whole bunch of sound clips from pretty much all the different movies and shows in the MCU, which is really cool.
Yeah,
and
so-
it basically just shows kind of, the timeline. You know?
So the episode starts up with the classic Iron Man, wow, and then you start getting all the other clips
repulsor.
of like, of different things that characters have said. But you also see in the intro, the people who have passed away are grayed out in the
Nice.
So I think it's Cap, Iron Man, and Widow were the ones that I noticed. But the speaking clips are not just MCU characters. They also have people like famous people in
life,
our
yeah.
current timeline. So they had like Greta, and they had who else? Nelson Mandela.
Yeah.
oh, I didn't catch those.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it just like it does the classic opening of the comic book projection on the Marvel logo, and then it goes into the picture of the universe, and it ends at the Citadel, where Loki and Sylvie are about to walk in. So they get to the door, and like Loki's kind of like, after you, like, you've been waiting for this moment, you should go in. And she's like, just give me a second, like I've been running for all like majority of my life, I need to just compose myself before we like confront whoever's behind this. And before they're ready, the doors open and they walk in, and it's like completely desolate. Like, it's crumbling, there's dust everywhere, there's old statues. Like, it's not an upkept citadel. There are 4,
One was broken.
timekeepers.
Yeah.
And they're actually confronted by Miss Minutes, and this is what I spoke to earlier, where the tone of her is different. It's not like, I'm your little helper. It's like the little
creepy
clip. It's not that little clip like when you open Word, like the old Word.
The paperclip.
The paperclip. But she's actually like, he would like to extend you like these choices, and like, stop where you're at now. If you don't pursue what's behind the curtain, you can he can put you in a timeline where you can rule Asgard if you want to. If you can kill Thor, you can have the gauntlet, you can even rule together in the same universe. Like, she's putting all the cards on the table if they just stop where they're at now and they just turn back. So that's why it feels like this Miss Minutes might be the same one that was talking to Renslayer before she left. Like, oh, he thinks that this would be useful to you because whoever's behind the curtain of everything with the TVA, she calls him He Who Remains. So that kind of goes back to when you said like there are 4 timekeepers and some of the statues are crumbling and stuff. Like, he's basically the only one that remains of those timekeepers.
Which is pretty accurate to the comics. Like, so I looked it up, and basically He Who Remains is the last agent of the TVA, but he like made sure that people went back in time to create the TVA so that it'll like all just keep going, you know,
It's
like,
so
he basically that's what it was. So he was the last agent of the TVA, and he created he created the timekeepers and then sent them back to
create the TVA.
Create that. Yeah.
And I just wanted to call back to what I said before about the whole like Wizard of Oz theme. Like, even throughout the cracks of the Citadel, you see like cracks of gold and stuff. So it's basically that whole thing, like, you come all this way on this big long journey and there's kind of a disappointment behind the curtain, like just a regular guy pulling the strings. So they decide to say no to Miss Minutes. They really want to confront whoever's behind it. They get to, again, another elevator, like in the TVA, and it's just some guy. And she calls him He Who Remains. He never names himself. He hints to it throughout their conversation. But he's just like, kind of like, hi guys, like, I know everything that's going to happen. Like, let's get this over with. Let's go to my office. And he's just very laid back about it.
Did you guys like that reveal? Like, were you expecting someone else, or did you kind of already know that it was going to be that person?
I think with the way that it played out, I liked the reveal because of everything that happens after. I think if everything that happens after was going to be a letdown, I'd be like, this is dumb. Like, this is another one of those, like, oh, it's not really the bad guy from Iron Man.
So, I don't know. I feel either way it would have been disappointing because they built up not so long, but there was so much build up as to who is really behind it. I don't really feel any way about it. I mean, if he was just like a typical like evil villain, that would have been boring. Him being kind of playful is also kind of typical, like someone eccentric. I don't know. I guess they couldn't really write him any other way other than how
did you like that it was Kang, or did you?
He didn't say Kang though, so I don't think
he hints at it. Yeah.
But I mean, like, did you like that it was that person?
A dude. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, were you expecting it to be? Because
I mean, whoever they would have chose, it would have been still portrayed the same way, more or less. So I don't know. I don't feel either way about it. I guess it was an okay reveal. I mean, I don't know. It didn't feel anticlimactic, but it didn't feel like super.
Yeah, I didn't think it felt
mind blowing.
It didn't feel super mind blowing either. I don't think maybe that wasn't what they were going for. Maybe what they were going for was it to be mundane, because that's just what it was. It's just a dude who's lasted this long.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, maybe that was part of their plan, and of course they knew what was going to happen, right, because of the writers. But I mean, like, maybe that was just to launch whoever is going to be Kang, you know, like the big bad. So like they made that made that on purpose. Exactly, to offset.
Before the elevator opens, they're like posing with the swords. I thought of you. I was like, it's gonna be Mephisto. Got him.
Gonna be helicopter pilot Thanos, dude. Welcome, nice. And if you look down by the bay.
But yeah, so they go up in the elevator.
I thought it was gonna be an older variant Loki.
See, that's what I was thinking too.
That's what Vinny said, but
I was thinking it was gonna be either
that would have been obvious though.
Yeah,
Loki or Kang.
Yeah. So during the whole elevator ride up to his office, Sylvie and Loki still have their weapons on him, and she is still like, vengeance, like, I don't care what you have to say, I just want to like get you now because you're in my sight. And like our Loki kind of is still like, well, what's at the bottom? Like, why did you do this kind of thing? And Sylvie goes after him, and it's kind of like those rewind collars where they can like manipulate time, but you find out that he just has, he just has like the OG tempad. It looks like crackled like meteor kind of thing on his wrist, and that's how he's able to like forward and rewind outside of her attacks. They get to the office, and he reveals like, oh, does she still call me he who remains, like Miss Minutes? I have many names, like a conqueror. So that's why we're like, oh, Kang the Conqueror. But he never actually names himself. But he does tell them like the reason for the TVA is that like in the 31st century, I discovered, or like a variant of me discovered, that his universe had different universes stacked on top of it.
Yeah.
So they started opening doorways in order to partner with each other to get the best of each world. Like, oh, if you have the cure for cancer, then we'll like collaborate. And like, it's basically he was connecting with other bright versions of him until eventually he found a version of himself that only wanted to conquer and destroy worlds and whole entire timelines. So that's actually where the timeline war occurred, was because of his variants going after each other. So
So this guy's he's the lone variant, right? For
he's
now.
the one.
He's the one? Like for now?
For now.
For now.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's weird because the way that he says it is like, in the 31st century, like I would have blah, blah, blah. But then I don't think he actually clarifies if he was the one that discovered the different layers, or if just all of them in the 31st century discover the layers of the multiverse and make contact at the same time. But like you're led to believe that he is the original one that opened the doorway, tried to like be benevolent and like partner with each other. And then an evil version of him is the one that wants to conquer all the worlds. So somehow he meets Eliath, which is like
weaponizes Eliath.
Yeah, he's like a timeline world eater. He's just made up of cosmic and timeline energy. And he's able to start pruning branches and pruning different people in order to make his timeline be the one sacred timeline. So anytime like there's a deviation or a possibility for a different version of him to come back and like dethrone him, they just prune the branch. And he said he's like much older than he looks. He's like thousands and thousands of years old. And he even shows them a printout, kind of like what Loki had to sign for every word he's ever said up to that point. And he's like, this is why I know what's going to happen, is because it's already happened. It's happening. Like I can see everything. And so he presents them with two choices. He's like, you can either kill me and make way for the evil version of myself to break free of the timeline and like rule everything in a much worse way, or you can become me and the two of you run the TVA and maintain the timeline, because that's really the more benevolent choice. Like
you take the blue pill.
Yeah, that's basically what it was.
Wake up in your bed.
So like Loki really wants to take a second to like hear him out and like consider the consequences and how it'll affect everyone else, like the whole universe. And like they kind of joke about it in the previous episode when Loki's like, we're gonna go save the universe, and she was like a bit dramatic, but yeah, I guess like she doesn't really weigh the consequences of her actions in accordance with like how it's gonna impact everything afterwards. So Loki keeps trying to get her like to just take a breath and like listen to what's happening, but she's so angry still. And it reminds me of Loki from Thor 1, where he figures out that he's like adopted, and he's like all the whole fight on the Bifrost is basically like his fight with Sylvie, where Thor is trying to like connect with him and be like, I just want to make sure that you're okay. But he doesn't want to hear it. And he even says like, I've been where you are. Like I felt that rage. And it just reminded me of Thor 1 when he falls from the Bifrost.
Yeah, that whole scene was really good because you see, just like what Monica was just saying, was the growth in our Loki and how he's pretty much just trying to come full circle and trying to help out Sylvie. But like you said, she was pretty much just blinded by the hate, still trying to get revenge and stuff like that, because she was so scarred from her past. She was basically on the run her whole life and all that stuff. So she has all this built up rage and anger that she really just can't even hear what Loki is trying to say. And it was just a good scene because it's like it's like change. Like some people are changing, some people are not. So it was a good dynamic to see that.
Loki has overcome his destiny. He's not destined
Yeah.
to be a god of mischief and someone who ruins things. He's actually changed. This
Yeah.
Loki has actually seen more evolution than the mainline Loki who died at Thanos' hands. He's actually grown.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's true.
And
It took that Loki to die in order to get to that point. Whereas this Loki just had to see, you know, what his future held and then meet this other variant and kind of just do some soul searching. And he was able to actually overcome his inherent Loki-ness. So
and it kind of reminds me of what I've heard a lot of people say about like real life trauma. Like if you're traumatized, sometimes it's hard for you to move past that mentality, that age. So like she was taken from her timeline at like 8. So like when she was like actually, or like, you know, very, very young. So like for most of the series, she seems pretty composed, pretty put together, like adult like. But you have to remember, like her mentality, she's still like that little girl, and it's kind of like what Mobius was saying. Like I just see a scared little boy, where he's gotten past that. She's still in that stage where she's still like that scared little girl. And even when our Loki tries to say, like, I just want, like, if you want to kill him, fine. If you want to take over the TVA, fine. Like as long as you're okay with this decision, like you need to like.
He said, I just want you to be okay. And
Yeah.
she says, I'm not you. So that's not what she wants.
And they after all that,
she kisses him.
A kiss,
yep,
which is weird.
In the bottom corner, I saw the Bang Bros logo. Coming, dude. Variant porn is on the way, bro. We're about to see it.
Oh my god.
Oh my god.
Stars fucking themselves, dude.
Gross. But basically, so he is so.
People know that.
He's so wrapped up in making sure she's okay. And again, like I think of like Thor trying to make sure that young Loki was okay when they had their whole conflict.
Played this episode, and right before a Jerkmate ad played, and I was like, "What the fuck?" All right, keep going.
She uses his care to distract him, and I can't remember if a similar scene happened in Thor 1. It's been so long, where like they're so involved with caring and like so focused that they can't see anything else. So she kisses him, and in that moment she turns them around, grabs the temp pad from the original He Who Remains, because during this whole time he basically says like, I lied, I could see everything that was and will be up until this point. So at this point, your decision I can't foresee, so it's basically in your hands. So she grabs the temp pad because he willingly leaves the choice up to them. Kisses Loki, sends him through the TVA so that they're separated, so that she can just go back to her vengeance.
So good.
Yeah,
that's so good because pretty much throughout the whole the season 2, it was a lot about trust, and it was just a lot about like, can you really trust a Loki? Or she was always asking.
Oh,
like,
one of my favorite lines was that. I can't be trusted and you can't trust. Someone you can't trust and I can't be trusted.
That was so good.
It all comes full circle, and it sucks because as an audience, you see our Loki becoming full circle and trusting.
He still can't trust, even though he can be trusted. That was kind of
and so he trusted her, and in turn, you know, because she's a Loki also, she betrays him, and then she hits him with like magic, and then sends him to another place, which we'll get to.
Yeah,
but that scene was dope, dude. I like that scene.
The fight scene was great.
Sorry.
Anyway, kind of rewinding a little bit to their fight scene, it was pretty interesting because you could see his powers evolving. Like he wasn't just throwing like Loki bolts. He did more of like the telekinesis. So it's kind of like how classic Loki was like, if you concentrate, your powers are evolving. We're stronger than we think. So their whole like fight sequence was like, it was stuff you wouldn't expect in their fight sequence prior to this. But yeah, so she sends him through the TVA and confronts He Who Remains. And he's like, what, you don't have any more questions? Like you don't want to be made queen somewhere else. And she like doesn't even say anything. She just stabs him.
I'll tell you something. The PG-13 rating really threw me off on this scene because I thought she put that knife back into a sheath. It did not sound like she stabbed him. It was hella quiet. I was like, what the fuck just happened? I'm like, come on, add more sound to it.
One of the things that I kind of like disliked was like, so he who remains, he can just die by a stab wound. Like he's so powerful and all that stuff, but it's just a regular like stab wound.
Yeah.
Well, the thing for him was like he's just a normal dude. Like I mean, he was super smart.
Dude, he's just aging slowly because he's outside the timeline, so he can still die by.
I guess
by conventional means.
Yeah,
I just didn't like the knife sound because I didn't know he actually got stabbed. Like when Thanos snapped Loki's neck, and I'm like, who just cracked their knuckles?
But yeah, he even said, like no matter. Yeah, he said, "I'll see you soon." As soon as she stabbed him, because when he was laying out the choices for them, he was like, either way, like if you kill me and then like the evil version of me, you're still gonna see me again. Is like the whole thing about like someone's gonna come, I'm gonna end up in this seat again. Like basically.
During this whole time, the whole dilemma, we're seeing branches outside the window starting to grow.
Yeah.
Like a Saturn ring, but then it's starting to like move outwards.
Yeah.
So yeah, he was like, I'll see you soon, and then something about reincarnation. So yeah, and then you see Sylvie like drop the dagger and kind of fall to the ground because like she didn't think further than that. And then it focuses back on our Loki. He's kind of like heartbroken, like, oh, I can't believe like she betrayed me. Up until that point, they kept saying like, Mobius was like, can I trust you? And Sylvie was saying, can I trust you? They kept asking our Loki, but he wasn't the one that was going to betray at the end. And then, so he's basically in the room in the TVA where he was being questioned before. And then he's like, okay, I got to get my shit together. He runs to all the places where he and Mobius were, like the lunch place, the library. And then he finally finds him in the, he finds him in the archives. And he's like, we have to like prepare everyone because like, there's just one guy and he said an eviler version of him was going to come and we have to do all this stuff. And meanwhile, Mobius is like, calm down. You're an analyst. Who are you? And then he looks out the window and he sees that instead of the 3 timekeepers, it's just one Kang, or like he who remains statue out the window.
That shit was sick, dude. That was Planet of the Apes right there.
That was, dude. He was like,
that was Planet of the Apes.
Oh my god. So do you think that's the universe with the evil Kang? Because they straight up know who it is.
Yeah. Well, because even when he's running up to B-15 and Mobius,
Quantum Mania 2022, brother. You better look out, Ant-Man.
when our Loki is running up to Mobius and B-15, you can hear them they're looking at Tempad, and you can hear them saying like, "What does he want us to do? Just prune all of them? Like, what are we gonna?"
Yeah.
But they keep saying he. Yeah, so, right. And when you look out the window, there's just one statue of the timekeeper. Yeah. So this Kang, or whoever he who remains in this timeline, already conquered, and everyone knows he's the conqueror.
Do you think when Sylvie pushed him through the Tempad, do you think she knew where he was going, or it was just like a random one? Or do you think he who remains knew that was gonna be the place?
Oh, and he programmed it.
Yeah.
So originally I thought that
hey, you know what? Maybe he who remains wasn't telling the truth, and the Miss Minutes taking Judge Renslayer somewhere was part of his plan, and then having Loki pushed into that different timeline was part of his plan. So dude, maybe he knew more than he was letting on. I don't know.
Maybe.
So originally, when I watched the episode, I thought exactly what you guys thought with the Planet of the Apes, where it's like he's already here, like he's already conquered and rewritten the timeline, but like, as she pushed him through the door, the branches were already spreading. So it could just be another universe. And like our Mobius was looking at the big screen in the main room with B-15, like, oh my God, what are we going to do? Meanwhile, this Mobius has no idea who that Loki is. So there's still a possibility where like our Mobius and our Loki can still like meet up again if they can get to the same timeline again.
I think this is all either this already happened and they're just redoing it again and again. And it's just a constant loop until someone like Doctor Strange or whatever will fix it into one sacred timeline. But I think also too, like, when does this take place? Does it take place after some of the movies, but then it's just reliving all the shit that's been going
It
on.
could
Like,
take place whenever it
know.
wants to, dude.
Yeah.
It's on
Yeah.
the timeline.
Well, so we know for sure that it happens after Endgame because that's when the heist happened.
Does
the
it?
time heist.
Does it happen
but
after that?
see, it's like, yeah,
Could happen during, because they're moving at a different pace, dude.
Because the
Hogan,
TVA
we're coming for you.
because they did say the TVA time runs differently. Okay, that's
Yeah.
fair.
yeah. And they mentioned the multiverse war already. So like,
Yeah.
do you think that also already happened because of Sylvie creating all those branches? So that means that maybe that war that eventually is going to happen, like the Secret Wars, that possibly caused it,
Well, so
and
the
which is why
It's going to be
the
called Captain
the-
America Sylvie War.
the way that they talked about the time war was that like it already happened, and then if they branch out again, it's going to happen again. So I don't think that the one that's going to happen again is the same one from before.
Right. It could just happen all over again.
Yeah.
okay.
Okay.
I want to ask
that-
you guys something. So the TVA are just regular people that are taken from the timeline.
Yeah.
Do you really think they could go into a timeline and prune Thanos? Because I don't think so.
Well, they
don't
have
get
so
that.
many Infinity Stones. They could just take
I
an
know,
Infinity Stone.
But I'm asking, like, why you really see B-15 running up on Thanos with that time stick?
She's
They
gonna
threw it
put
at
a
the
snap
helicopter, dude.
bracelet. She's just gonna put a snap bracelet on him.
They just threw it at the helicopter. That's what it was.
They really just
They're
have to
not-
set the reset charge.
They're
Like
not. They're not. Oh, I
it
guess
proves
the
the
you're right.
whole
Yeah.
branch.
Just like, get
True.
the fuck out of here, Thanos. is here.
But
Get back in.
dude.
That's cool, I guess.
what was I gonna say? Can we go into theories for some fan theories we've seen circulating?
Yeah. Do it.
Yeah, dude.
One of the ones that I like the most, I think Vince, I just sent it to you, was that the moment that the branches opened was that moment in the post-credit scene where Wanda hears her kids.
Yep.
Oh shit.
There was that one.
Oh
that one.
shit.
There was also a theory that the reason why the Eternals haven't done anything is because none of this happened until Sylvie started all those branches. So then now they're just like, okay, it's time to step in.
Where do the Eternals rank? My lore on
That's
them, I have
my
no.
question
I
too.
think-
Are they on a planet of Ego, the living planet? He was an Eternal, right?
I think so. I think so.
I'm confused too, because are they above the TVA? Are they above Thanos? Are they above
I think
the
they're-
Living Tribunal?
They're
not above
Like,
time.
all that.
They're not above time, but I think they're above Thanos.
Yeah, they're
I mean,
Eternal.
they're
Yeah,
like cousins, right?
but if they're on the same level as Ego, the living planet, I don't think he was above Thanos because he got beaten by time. What's his name? Star-Lord.
Star-Lord.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's a weird thing.
Yeah. I don't know the ranking.
I don't know either. And then
But-
what about the Celestials? Like, what?
Oh,
Are
maybe
they
that's who I'm thinking.
Eternals?
Of. Yeah,
Like-
yeah. I don't know.
Yeah. So
We
but-
need to have like a power ranking here.
but we do see it in
Yeah,
the trailer
yeah.
for Eternals when they're like, we've been like side by side with mankind. We've seen them progress, but we've never interfered. So that makes sense. Like the reason why they would actually step in is because
Yeah.
all the timelines are branching.
Yeah. And all
Yeah, I
those
don't-
branches,
I don't-
they're making the new movies, dude. All that
That's
shit
right.
is happening.
That's true. That's true. And I don't
Yeah.
see Doctor Strange fixing this. He's just going to be
You don't
dealing.
think so?
No, because I mean the time stone is fucking useless
Oh, that's true.
Yeah.
in
That's
that
a good point.
capacity.
Oh,
So it's going to have to
okay.
be someone a bigger scope.
So
But I still don't think the Eternals are of that scope. Like who else could fix the timeline at
don't know.
that level besides
did-
Loki?
I
Maybe
did.
Loki brings heroes into the TVA.
Oh,
No. I think.
but their
I'm sorry,
powers
go
don't
ahead,
work in
Martha.
their powers won't work in the TVA
that's
when
right.
they're inside of it.
Well, I think Cap could still do that all day inside the TVA.
Do you think he
One of
says
my-
that when he brings the
shut up, I
lady
wanna hear
home?
I want to hear what Vince has to say.
One of my theories is they're the good guys. You know, they're especially because okay, so we didn't talk about this yet, but basically at the end of the end credit scene of Loki it's confirmed that there's going to be a season 2. So I think to answer your question, Matt, I think Loki. I don't think Doctor Strange. Maybe he won't fix everything, and then it's going to be up to Loki in season 2 with the help of Sylvie. Blah blah blah. But I also think that they're gonna get a good variant of Kang, a good-hearted one, and then they're gonna
Yeah.
work together, and they're all gonna solve it to put it into one timeline.
Do you think that the one that we already encountered is the good-hearted one, or no? He's just the original one.
I
It
mean,
could be like what Matt
there's
was saying.
there's no
We don't
limit.
know.
There's a lot of
Yeah.
good hard kings, and remember, because there's a lot of ones willing to work together, but then
That's
there's
true.
like
Yeah.
that patch of evil ones. And
Yeah.
again, yeah, you don't know this one's intentions. Maybe he was evil all.
That's true.
But if he was evil, he
true.
wouldn't have allowed himself to get killed unless he had like some other kind of.
I think at that point he was kind of like not driven mad, but he was like when he lifted the thing and he didn't like he acted like he didn't know if it was gonna fall or not. He was like, I've lived a long time, and like he's basically done. Like he was like, if you guys want to take this over, great. If you want to kill me, great. Either way, I'm out of this beast. Like,
Yeah.
That's what made me think he was an evil, because I mean, the evil one's gonna do everything to survive. And
oh
kill
yeah.
him, so.
That's true. The evil one was just behind the wall. It's like,
Fucking killed his ass. Oh shit.
hey, Kang, did you see that, Kang? Yeah, we saw that, Kang. We saw that, Kang.
Hey, yo, Kang, that was fucking crazy, right, Kang?
I rewatched the scene from the time heist with Sorcerer Supreme, with the Ancient One talking to Bruce about how the timeline works, and I was like, man, this whole time like they already knew they're gonna go in the direction that Loki was going.
Yeah,
Like
it's
it
just
was
crazy,
planned
dude.
so far ahead. It's just insane.
Yeah, yeah. There was a so in the comics, I guess Kang is a descendant of Reed Richards. I don't know if that's
I
no,
don't
I'm
know
pretty
the
sure
lore on
that's
that.
true. But
I think, yeah, I think.
but he's like a future descendant of him. So I don't know if that's gonna be kind of how they're gonna introduce Fantastic Four.
King's like, we're finally gonna have a good one.
But I also saw a theory that because we haven't seen anything related to Fantastic Four, and that's not going to be until hella long. I saw a theory that Kang might be a future descendant of Tony Stark, because of like how
like the
he-
innovations, like how he was able to open the doorways and stuff.
Yeah, that, and
Damn,
then
he had a baby with Rhodey.
and then even in Endgame, you know, like Tony Stark figured out the whole time travel and all that stuff. So
That'd be
I
sweet.
thought that theory was pretty interesting.
Yeah, I mean, like even the whole thing with the tempad, like everything is controlled by the tempad, and like they have gadgets to like rewind time and stuff like that. So I can see that happening.
Well, let's take a question from one of our fan.
Oh yeah, let's do it.
One of our singular fan.
One of our fan.
Angelica in Hawaii says, thinking back on WandaVision, is Ralph Boner just a variant? And I have to say, I think it was just disrespectful casting.
I just think it was a good name.
Why would they do that with Evan Peters, knowing that we were expecting Quicksilver?
Because they just like trolling us. Like even the whole thing with classic Loki, the whole thing of like I said an illusion and I escaped, like that was a huge fan theory for a long time until they confirmed like nope, Loki's just dead. He just got his ass choked.
But why Evan Peters? Why?
I know.
Could have been any other guy. You just had to get our hopes up. That was some bullshit.
It was some bullshit.
That was some evil Kang bullshit.
A red herring.
That it was a red Mephisto.
I'm kind of glad that like now because of course in WandaVision there was the whole Mephisto thing and then it never happened. But with Loki, there was a pretty much a speculation from the beginning. A lot of people were saying like, oh, it's gonna be Kang. So I'm glad it kind of all worked out and it wasn't like just another Mephisto.
It comes Stilt Man comes out of the elevator. He's like, what's up, everybody? I'm a daredevil villain. Oh shit.
But yeah,
subverted all my expectations.
Again, they never named him. They just call him He Who Remains. But he did say, like, I have many names: a conqueror, blah blah, like a scientist. Like, yeah.
Where do you guys think Renslayer went?
I think she went to a different TVA to meet with the Bad King.
So do you think?
Because he would give her purpose.
Yeah.
Do you think the one that she's in, if she went to a TVA, do you think that's the one that Loki's in?
Oh, possible.
Question.
So they're gonna have a little confrontation.
Maybe, but then how would he know that that's unless there's another Renslayer in there?
Oh, that's true. He wouldn't know. Oh, I mean, he might just be like, "Hey, you look like Renslayer."
But I mean, like again, like not every Renslayer became the judge.
Yeah,
like some of they had a variation that stayed in the timeline. So.
But then not every TVA has a Renslayer, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think we probably won't see her until
The
season
end.
2. No, like I don't even think she's gonna be in any movies.
Oh no, I don't
think
think
she-
she's going to be in any movies, but I think we might see her like I'm thinking mid to end of season 2. Do you think we're going to see her right off the bat?
I kind of one of the things I really liked about
She's
the
got to
show is that
reappear because like her disappearing is a large part of the finale.
yeah.
That's how
But,
that was.
this show, it like started off like with you already know what's gonna happen with the purposes and all that stuff, and there's like already action and stuff like that. So I think, and I hope that they do that for season 2, and then we'll pretty much get Renslayer right away, and it won't be like a build up.
Yeah,
Okay.
true that. Yeah, they got to keep the pace going.
Yeah,
I will
exactly.
say of the TV series, like I like the writing in WandaVision so much. That's still my favorite.
the
And
writing
then
here is hella good too.
the writing here is pretty good, but I think of the series that they've released so far, Loki made the most sense to get an automatic season 2 because it just opens so many questions for the movies leading up. Like they're gonna
Yeah.
have to find a way to tie it up after the movies happen.
True. So do
the
you
other
think
two-
season?
Go ahead.
Do you think season 2 is going to take place after all the movies and stuff?
I
Like,
think
of course,
so.
it's gonna take place.
You know what? Since this
years,
phase
yeah.
has to like, this phase has to have the stakes built up even higher than Thanos. I think Loki might be a recurring show, whereas Falcon and the Winter Soldier and Scarlet Witch kind of told a concise story. They already
Yeah.
set the stage for what needs to happen in their universes, so there's no additional seasons required. But Loki is kind of like has to deal with a timeline while everyone else is
That's
dealing
true.
with the timeline. So it
Yeah.
might be
That'd be
like
sick.
might be a comic layout where that's the main storyline, and then everything else has their little monthlies.
But overall, I did really like the show. I thought the writing was really good. I thought the acting was really good. Each show so far, like they really showcased all these actors that we didn't really get to see in the movie. So like I really appreciate what they're doing with that, and just letting people just run with it. And it had action, comedy, character development. Overall, just a good show. I loved it.
I appreciate of the whole MCU that they're really starting to develop like what could be considered like side characters. Now everyone's like fully fleshed out, fully developed.
I think the biggest achievement here is raising the stakes higher than Thanos, because
That's
I
true.
remember at that point people were like, how can they get even higher?
How do they
than-
top it?
Yeah.
Like he snapped away all of the universe, but then we dive into the multiverse. And then what comes after the multiverse, motherfucker? Are they gonna come into our houses? What's going on?
Hide your kids, hide your wife.
The MCU's coming to real life, bro. Watch out. Lock your doors. Like, what else? How higher can it get? Shit. Yeah, so
I wonder, and this is random, I don't think we're gonna get an answer, but like of the people who were snapped, do you think like any of the Eternals or any high stakes, like how did that impact other
don't
beings in
think
the
so.
universe? Like
oh, for sure. Yeah. Did anyone in the TVA get snapped? They're just like, nah, but fuck that. That's a good
I don't
question.
know. Yeah, this is a good question. I'm excited for Eternals because I have no clue
Yeah, me neither.
like what it's gonna be about. I have no knowledge of any of the characters' backstories or anything like that. So
Yeah.
we're pretty much going blindsided into that.
Shang-Chi and Eternals for
Same
me
with
is
Shang-Chi.
it's kind of like when Guardians came out, because I knew like
Hmm.
very
Yeah,
little. Like we had a relative that like, oh, I grew up reading those comics, but even they didn't really remember, it was so long ago. So they really can do anything with it. Like it'll be interesting for sure. All right, everyone, that concludes our recap of Loki. Can't wait to see what else is in store.
Next week, we're going to be covering Batman The Long Halloween Part 1. Part 2 comes out on August 10th. And then that should keep us occupied until the 11th when What If comes out. So we'll have some
Yeah.
stuff to talk about in the meantime. But anyways, go ahead.
We'll see you next time. I'm your co-host, Monica.
I'm Matt.
And I'm Vince.
Bye, y'all.
Instead of getting pruned, you see Loki fall into this like random place. That everything that's pruned, be it an individual person, you can't really prune someone.
Every time
And
you
then-
say prune, I think of my dick when I get out of the pool.
Gross. This is gonna be like a 5-hour episode.
When we used to heat up hot dogs in the microwave.
When it would burst.
Protein dogs.
The ones with cheese inside.
Shrimpy tongues, dude.
I'm not Wakandan, but my bionic arm enhanced. Just say the words, I'm activated like a Nazi trance. Catch vibranium to your cranium, wanna glance. Full body cast from a Cyclops optic blast. I doubt you crews prepared for this hit. Catch a glimpse of who I'm with, have you scared of the clip? No heart-shaped herbs or any terrigen myths. I'm taking out your ankles on some anti-Carrigan shit.